The Deck Network. Build a deck.
Bam! This is the Deck Network, and I'm your host, Mike Dezzilio, and we have the King of Queens.
Co-host with the most, Matt Dalton here. Remember, at the Deck Network, it's all decks all the time, and I want to say hi to our corporate sponsor, Bam Boo Mojito, the official mojito of the Deck Network. Mike.
Great job, Matt. Okay,
Thank you.
We, in the spirit of quick, fast shows, we're going to talk about Timbertech railings for 2016. So let's just get right into the Timbertech railings. Everyone likes to hear us talking all the time, but sometimes we just have to...
Content is king, and we want to bring that to you here.
Yes, okay. So we're going to go to the website. So this would be the Timbertech website. I remember Timbertech and AZAC are the same company. They just have different types of products.
Parent company
CPG building products.
See, I'm starting to learn some stuff here, Mike.
Okay, so we have the Timbertech railings right here. Let's get right into it. Let's
Which one you want to say?
I usually like to start at the least expensive products first. So let's get into the Evolution rail. So the Evolution rail is a composite rail. It's not like a PVC cover. This is heavy.
Pretty substantial there.
Yeah. So this is the Evolution rail. It's a capped composite rail like the decking. It's not like a capped PVC, a little more shiny product like the Radiance rail that we'll get into in a few minutes. But this one is very popular because it has a smaller profile. It has a more of a dull finish. Sure, everyone likes the Kona and the black rails, but sometimes they don't like the shine of that, and they prefer to get this one right here.
And Mike, you know what I like? Drink rail up top.
This is the matte rail because you can put the drink on the top of it. This has its own matching color. It's a 6-inch wide board. It's beveled on both sides here, and it is kind of pricey, but it's real nice. From
a price standpoint, what are we looking at here?
As usual, all of the Timbertech railings have multiple infill kits. This particular one right here just happens to be the cable infill kit. Why don't we get this thing out of the way, and then we'll take a look at some different ones. The infill kit.
Now with the cables, they look really good, maybe in a water application, so it's not blocking the view when you want to check out the landscape behind your deck.
Yeah, the cable rail gives you the illusion that there isn't anything there at all anyway. And you can certainly use the cable rail on that. Cable rail is a specialty product. We sell a lot of cable rail. It's stainless steel. It's kind of pricey. It's 316 stainless steel. When you see it in a box, it looks like a box of jewelry. It's that precisely made. 316 stainless. It looks like jewelry.
I should give that to my wife for Valentine's Day. Say, here you go. Here's some cable rail.
It's $500 for that set of hardware.
Maybe.
So in this photo that we see back here, this is the Evolution's contemporary rail with the standard square balusters. That pricing is going to be in the $38 to $39 a linear foot. So how I come up with that is I'll take a sleeve, a cap piece, in this particular case a 6-foot cap piece, a skirt, the top and bottom rail, and the infill kit, add it up and divide it by 6. That's where I get that. Now that's about the fairest way that I come up with. I've seen so many different methods of pricing rail with just the rail section without sleeves. Then I've seen it with 2 sides. Well, that's not accurate either. So, but you'll have to know that every time you have a 6-foot section of rail that you add on to that, you'll have to get another section of rail. And then at the end, you need a post. So these come in just 6. Most of them come in 6 and 8-foot sections. So if you have a 26-foot section of rail, well, you can't say 26 times 39. You're going to have to use an increment of 6s and 8s. So it's going to be either 24, 30, or 32. So that's what you're going to have to buy. So keep that in mind. And very rarely do you see anyone doing a combination of 6s and 8s just to save a few dollars. Sometimes a homeowner will do that, but I always make sure you got to tell them. Anytime that I talk to a deck builder and we're pricing out a deck and it comes out to one of those strange lengths, I say, always go. You have to have symmetric lengths. Same is space in between all of them.
And what, it'll just look weird if you don't? Or?
Yeah, you're going to have an 8-footer here or a 6-footer there.
It's going to be a little fakakta looking.
On each wall of the rail, you need to have them all symmetric. So if you have a set of stairs in there, you would divide it out from there.
Makes sense.
Yes. So that on the infill kit, this is the with the square balusters. You can't even see these over here. Okay, so you can do the, of course, the cable rail comes in there now. You can see that. You can look at these deck visualizers on, this is the Timbertech website. You could use a glass optional on there. We
Oh,
don't
that's
sell much of the glass infills. It's almost the same price as by the time when it's all said and done, as the cable rail, and you won't have to worry about it ever breaking. So people just opt to get the cable rail, maybe another 10–15% more than that for the cable. Everyone seems to get the cable over the glass.
Seems like you need a lot of Windex if you had those.
Yeah,
keeping
okay.
those clean.
Especially and people tell me all the time when they have we have a lot of waterfront property here on Long Island. You know, we have these inlets that go in and out, and sure, you may only go a mile as the bird flies east to west, but you'll go in 2 miles and around and back down, so you'll have almost 5 miles of shoreline with only 1 mile of actual ocean frontage. So there's a lot of oceanfront property, and people tell me all the time when they get the glass rails, man, you better have the Windex ready.
Yeah.
Because when the salt spray flies,
that's where it's ending up.
Okay, so there's another variant of the Evolutions rail, and that's the Evolutions Builder rail. The genesis of this rail was when before the cap composite rails, that they had these standard composite railings. And why isn't this working on this one? So it has a 2x4 in here, but as I was mentioning, they had the standard composite rails 5 years ago in back that in the 3 colors, and they had a builder rail, and it's just a 2x4, and you can put some this is the standard way with the black round balusters, but remember it's a shorter baluster. You need a 25 or 26-inch baluster to get this look on that. They say it costs less. It does cost a slight bit less. When you buy the 2x4s, the hardware is not in the box, so that you have to keep that in mind because that hardware is $20.
Starts adding up once
so
you start going
that's
piece by piece on it.
You know, to me, I think it's just better to stay with the standard contemporary rail. It just has less looking. That's what people. That's more of a West Coast. They talk about it. The minimalist. Everyone wants the smaller amounts. Okay, so now we're going to get into the Radiance rail. Now this is the one we sell the most of. This is their flagship rail. The Radiance rail. Matt, why don't you pull that white one over here, turn it around so you can see the lights on it, please. This is a white Radiance rail, and get some little buttons we can press and press all these little lights on.
No, look at that.
Yeah, so it's this is the standard Radiance rail, shiny white. This is the rail we sell the absolute most of. It's about $41 a linear foot, and of course it comes. Then you get all the colors. I think it comes in 5 or 6 colors, and the colors are about $44. And again, the same thing with the infill options that you can put on these. Just like the other rail, you can use the cable, you can put the glass, you can put the square balusters, you can put the round balusters, which is very, very popular. This rail with the black round balusters is really nice. Okay, Matt, let's pull that one out. Now, Timbertech knows that the Radiance rail is somewhat pricey, so they came up with this variant, and they call it the Radiance Rail Express. It's somewhat, for lack of a better word, we'll call it a stripped-down version of the standard Radiance rail. So it has a more basic look to it, just to cut costs down. So this is a 4x4 sleeve with square edges here. This cap and skirt, they're good. The rail itself has less material in it, so it's going to cost less. So with railings, the more you pay, the less hardware you see. So with a less cost or a lesser pricing rail, you're going to see hardware. So you're going to see a little section of hardware on this rail because there's no way of hiding it. So having it still be strong enough to pass any of these tests. But this one, you can just use the square balusters. It comes in 3 colors: the brick, the traditional walnut, and the black. We sell a lot of these contractors like that because it is a Timbertech rail and it does cost a little bit less.
Well, that's fine and well, Mike, but what is the cost on something like this?
This one is about, the white is about $29.30. The colors are $32, $33. So again, quite a bit less than the Radiance rail.
Yep.
But it still gives it that great look. And this color, the Kona color that we have right here, sometimes we'll sell PVC rails, and because they even cost less. So white PVC, but people want a color. Well, PVC rails don't come in rich colors. They'll come in like a light gray or a light brown, and they'll cost about the same as this. So this is what we show instead of that.
You make the recommendation.
You can get certainly all the lights, the cap light that we saw on the Radiance rail. They have a smaller one. It's a 4-inch one. This is the 4-inch sleeve. That's for the 5.5. So the 5-inch sleeve. That's a good rail. Sell quite a bit of those. And then we're going to get into this is their newest rail now. This is called their Impressions rail.
Whoa.
And I don't know if this is in the Timbertech or the AZAC line. And some of the products it's called dual branded because, say for instance, on the Radiance rail, it has the same guts to it as there is in the AZAC Premier rail. But this one is the same rail, whether it be, so this is going to be a dual branded CPG or Timbertech and AZAC rail. It's nice. It's we sell there's another brand that we sell of the aluminum rail also. It costs a little bit less, but this one has much nicer detail. It has a nicer finish. It's only about 10% more than the Trex rail. So this is going to be running about $40 a linear foot.
Okay.
But there's a lot of advantages to this rail. First of all, it really doesn't show very much. If you're attaching this to a bluestone or a cement patio, when you have one of these other rails, you'd have to put what we call a flush mount post on it. So you have to drill in, you have to make it real strong. Well, you have to do that with this also, but you wouldn't have to buy the extra part. It saves you a part.
Okay.
So these rails are actually less to do if you're doing it on a masonry type application that doesn't require any type of flush mount post. Well, this one is the flush mount post. You just screw it in the same way, so you don't have to buy two of them.
One less part saves you some money.
Less parts saves some money. Real nice, real strong. It's what we really find, which I find is quite odd. When we sell these composite rails like the Radiance rail, and they want to put the black aluminum ballast there, they always get the round one. And then when we go to the aluminum rails, it's the flip. Everyone always gets the square baluster. Or in this particular case, it's a rectangle. But this one also can be ordered in round. For this year, it's just going to be in black. I hear that they're going to be coming up with a bronze and maybe even a white further down the road. But it's a great rail. It just came out in the fall, so we're stocking here at No Maintenance Decks. We're at Route 110 in Farmingdale, New York. And that's it for today's show. We tried to keep it a little brief because we want to give people as much information as we possibly can. And everyone knows how to get a hold of us. It's
Matt at thedecknetwork.com or
Mike at thedecknetwork.com.
questions, comments, concerns.
Yeah. We don't. We used to read them on the show, but we just get so many of them, and it just takes too much time.
There's
so
not
we're
enough
trying
time
to give
in
as
the day.
much information as we possibly can in the shortest amount of time. Also being not only educational but entertaining.
That's what we do.
Yeah, we try to do that.
Have some fun with it too.
Yep. So that's it for today's show, folks. Have a great day. Ciao for now.
Hasta la vista.
Bye.